Philadelphia Eagles have coming into this offseason is what's next? What do we do to get back to the big game? Because that's the biggest question. You just won a title. How do we get back and repeat as a title contender and a Super Bowl champion so that we can call ourselves a dynasty? Now, a lot of people want to call us that right now. We are not quite there yet. Okay, you got to win multiple titles in order to be a dynasty. We're not the Chiefs yet, but we're on the makings of being one. And an off season like we had last season could really be could really just push us over the edge in the NFC, especially. Okay, you got questions like Zach Baun, Mekhi Becton, Josh Sweat, and Milton Williams to answer, though, along with Darius Slay, by the way, who's also kind of up in the air about whether or not he wants to go for another year. Josh Sweat just came off an incredible Super Bowl, a credible playoff run, and is going to test the open market. He changed agents. He changed from somebody to Drew Rosenhaus, I believe, right? So he's going to go out and get the bag, okay? Somebody's going to throw him $20 million a year. And if that's the case, Philadelphia for damn sure is not going to sign Josh Sweat for $20 million a year. That is not what they do. And that's a lot of money for a guy who's going on age 30. And this is going to be one of his only opportunities to go ahead and seek a huge, huge contract. Go ahead and get your money, big fella. You deserve every single penny of it. And because of that, Philadelphia is going to be off the hook of paying Josh Sweat money. He ain't going to be an Eagle no more. So thank you for your time here. We appreciate you. So Josh Sweat's gone. Milton Williams, on the other hand, is another interesting subject because if you look at all the free agency and salary cap projection for this player, Spock Trek in particular has his market value close to $10 to $12 million a year. If that's the case, if Milton Williams goes into the NFL market and people are going to be willing to pay him $10 to $12 million only, if you're the Eagles, why not sign him again at that value? I'd take that in a heartbeat if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles. I went into this offseason projecting Milton Williams to be making closer to like $17, $18, $20 million as a defensive lineman. If he goes into this free agent market and he's only getting 10 to 12, half that amount, I'm signing him quick, fast, and in a damn hurry. Because that gives me so much more flexibility on what I could do with Zach Baun and what I could do with Mekhi Becton. But more likely than not, you're competing with teams like New England, the Chargers, Washington. All these places have $70+ million in cap space. They got a lot of money to throw at these players. And Milton Williams is a quality player. He could play the 3, he could play the 5, he could play the 1. Like, the guy can play all positions of the defensive line. Very versatile in that sense. And he'd be a capable starter too, in my opinion. I think he has that kind of ability. So if a team's going to go out there and throw him $20 million to go ahead and play football for them, he's walking and he's going to get that money. He's going to take the money, and I wouldn't blame him. But again, if the value for him is 10 to 12, sign him up immediately. I don't think he's going to get that value. I think some team is going to throw some stupid value at him, like $20 million a year. And Philadelphia's just not going to bring him back at $20 million per year. So I'm going to go into this offseason assuming a guy like that is walking. Okay? So now it leaves us to 2 question marks in Zach Baun and Mekhi Becton, who are going to be key pieces to what we do this offseason and how we proceed going forward in the 2025 offseason. But before we dive into all of that, I need to introduce the show. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I am your host, Asif Badi, and like you, I am a fan who talks about the birds, only the birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you want to help this channel grow, shoot this video a thumbs up, give your comments in the comments section below, and subscribe to the channel because it's going to help me get out to all other people out there on the World Wide Web. And for all of you who listen to us on audio platforms, check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing. It's free. And I don't know about you, I like doing stuff for free. Free is very easy to do. So please help this brother out. shoot this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. To me, the key piece to this offseason is what we're going to do with Zach Baun and Mekhi Becton. And in that order, Zach Baun is one of the key reasons that we are looking at this Eagles defense and potentially saying, hey, this could be on a run for the next 2, 3, 4 years of being an excellent defense. Everybody's young. Everyone's on a rookie contract for the most part. And anyone who is a veteran is at a really good value. Zach Baun is the key question mark because he's either going to go into this offseason and teams are going to look at him and they're going to throw him $17, $18, $20 million, or Spot Track has a projected value for him at 2 years, $20 million. Basically $10 million a year. Huge discrepancy. Listen, he had numbers that is similar this year to Roquan Smith and Fred Warner. He was 5th in Defensive Player of the Year. He had an interception in the Super Bowl and was every damn week. You looked at Zach Baun and he was out there making a game-changing play. On the other hand, you look at him and he only had 1 year of this kind of production because in New Orleans he was a special teamer. Not much of a career outside of that, okay? This was the 1 year he came in as a starter and played out of his freaking tree. So I don't blame people projecting him to have a $10 million a year value. However, I would be shocked if that's what his market value is. And if that's the case, Philadelphia is definitely bringing him back, and they're going to lock him up for the next 3 years. Because there is no way you would sit there. You'd be out of your freaking mind if you sat there and let Zach Baun walk to a team and they're only paying him $10 million a year. For Philadelphia, if that's what they got Zach Baun for, it's an absolute steal. Absolute steal. And I'd be pissed off at Howie Roseman if that's what they let him walk away at, $10 million a year. However, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Commanders, they may throw $15, $20 million at him. In that case, you may not be able to sign him, but you may be able to bring in a guy like Oren Burks back for a cheap price, which I believe is going to happen. You have him. You got Dre Greenlaw. There's other players out there that you could think Philadelphia thinks to themselves, hey, we can plug them in at linebacker and get really good value out of this position here. We have Jeremiah Trotter. We have N'Kobe Dean. You get another veteran in the locker room like a Dre Greenlaw or Oren Burks back here once more to help the young guys out. We could survive here at linebacker, which is a fair proposition. It's totally fair. However, I think priority number one is to bring back Zach Baun, and if you can get him for less than $15 million a year, you got to do that quick, fast, and in a damn hurry. And now, to his credit, he's going to go out there and test the free agent market, and maybe the market will dictate something a little bit higher than that. But again, anything less than $15 million a year, if I'm Philadelphia, I'm signing him up as quick as I possibly can. Because then it leaves me to go on one path about Mekhi Becton, who I believe is one of the other key pieces Philadelphia has to answer in regards to how this team's going to look going into 2025. Because this past offseason, I won't lie, I didn't think he was going to make the transition from tackle to guard as smoothly as he did. But Jeff Stoutland University is true. His ability is there. And the fact that he was able to go in there and play the type of football that he was playing, kudos to him. I mean, what an excellent job. What an excellent year for a very talented player. Former first-round draft pick for the New York Jets at tackle. Had a terrible career there, but again, it's the New York Jets, and now he comes here and has an all-pro, Pro Bowl type year. The biggest question for Mekhi Becton, though, is when he tests the free agent market, will he get paid as a tackle or will he get paid as a guard? Because those are two huge different price tags, as we all know. If I'm a team like Kansas City, or if I have another team like, who needs offensive lineman help, I'm throwing a lot of money at Mekhi Becton. I'm saying, hey, brother, listen, we just saw you in the Super Bowl. We saw the past year that you had. I'd love for you to make a transition to tackle, be on the right side, be on the left side, wherever it is that you want, or whatever it is that we need. We'll pay you $20, $25 million to be our all-star franchise tackle. If you're Mekhi Becton, are you going to say no to that? Really tough to walk away from that kind of money. Really, really is. Especially for the fact that it's not like he's on his way to Canton, guys. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here thinking he's a Hall of Fame type of player. He's not. He has a Super Bowl title, though. If he has other great years like this, maybe he gets his way to Canton. Who knows? But if I'm a player in the NFL and I have a Super Bowl title and I've gotten to the pinnacle of the pinnacle, what's my next step here if I'm not on projection to the Hall of Fame? It's to get as many dollars and cents as I possibly can. Mekhi Becton, again, he's not projected to go to Canton. That's not what he's made to do right now. That's not what his career path is. So he's going to look for getting every freaking dollar and every freaking penny that he possibly can. And if a team like the Chiefs, or if a team like, Washington, or a team like, I don't know, give me a team that needs offensive lineman help, the Bengals. Again, maybe not the Bengals because they're pretty damn cheap. You get my point here. If a team goes out there and says, hey, Mekhi, we want you to play tackle. We'll pay you franchise tackle money. Is he going to come back to Philadelphia and accept the role of guard and take lesser money? Because listen, look it up. Guards are going to make lesser money than tackles. That's just what it is in the NFL. That's the business of the NFL. Now, granted, Mekhi Becton loves being in Philadelphia. He loves Jeff Stoutland. He loves the guys, and he loves the city. I get it. But let me ask you guys this. You could love your job all you want. If another company goes out there and says, hey, we'll pay you double the money that you're projected to make right now if you come work for us, I'll be damned if any of you say, no, I'm comfortable with where I'm at right now. I'll make lesser money. Hell no. You're going to follow the money, as you should. Mekhi Becton should follow the money. The question is whether or not it's going to be at guard or at tackle. If somebody pays him tackle money and is willing to do that and take a chance on him, they're going to pay him tackle money. But, again, Spock Track has him projected at making $10 million a year, give or take, over the course of like 4 years. So $40 million and such. If that's all he's projected to have, the Eagles have no excuse not to bring back Zach Baun and Mekhi Becton, because those are incredible values for the type of players that you know in your system this past year made huge impact on. 100%. You got to bring those guys back. It's part of the reason why I think the two key offseason acquisitions that you have to look at is what Zach Baun and Mekhi Becton are going to be. Because those two guys, if somehow we're not able to bring them back, we have a lot of questions to answer. Because, again, I love Nakobe Dean based on what he did this year. He proved me wrong. Jeremiah Trotter, people are really high on him. Again, he's pretty small at the position too, so we got to see if he's able to hold up. Jalix Hunt was a great player, great rookie. But, again, can he play all 4 downs if Josh Sweat walks? Do we have to bring in another guy like Myles Garrett or something? Do we have to look at cornerback? Does Isaiah Rodgers come back? Because Darius Slay is projected to retire too. If he's projected to retire, now again, I'm not a capologist. I don't quite understand the cap in this particular situation here, because right now he's projected to make $13, $14 million a year if he decides to play one more year for the Eagles. If he retires, do the Eagles have to pay him that money? Or is that money kind of voided and, discounted? I'm not quite sure what the case is. Maybe they do a thing where they caught him after June 1st and it's a little less of a dead cap hit. Whatever the case may be. Darius Slay is a question mark too. Because if he decides to hang it up, then Isaiah Rodgers becomes a priority, because I think if I'm the Eagles, I would sign him to a 3-year deal as well. And keep Cooper DeJean in the slot, put Quinyon Mitchell on the outside with Isaiah Rodgers, and then run back the defense like that, and then pay Zach Baun and Mekhi Becton as much money as you can, even if you have to empty the clip in terms of your cap space here. That's what I would do. And then you can figure out other ways to fill in the gaps. But again, all of this is a caveat because you got the guru in Howie Roseman, the head honcho. He's the only guy who knows how to manipulate the cap the way that he does. Nobody does it like Howie. Listen, he's going to cook something up in terms of contract structure because he's the best at it in the NFL. So, yeah, we might be able to bring a guy like Zach Baun and Mekhi Becton back, and it might be at a cap hit that's so much less than anyone else would be able to do so. And again, it's because he has the owner in Jeffrey Lurie who's willing to throw the money up front, put a lot of money in cash in hand for the player that's walking in at the moment, and they're going to get the best out of him because the cap hits are low, but he's getting all the money up front. Okay? So that's really how he structures his contract. But again, the question is, what do we get for Zach Baun and what do we get for Mekhi Becton? Because those two contracts, if we don't get those guys signed, it completely changes the trajectory of our offseason. You bring those guys back, all of a sudden, the Philadelphia Eagles can look at this and say, hey, now we can really put a lot of draft capital in maybe addressing defensive line depth. Maybe we go out and trade for a guy like Myles Garrett, throw a couple of first-round picks, second-round pick, another defensive lineman, and try to get after him. Maybe, just maybe, we let those two guys walk in Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, and we go after a guy like Trey Hendrickson and throw money at him to be able to fulfill the edge spot. Maybe we rely on Jalen Hunt and get other players in the draft to go ahead and supplement what we got going on here. And maybe, just maybe, they decide, hey, we're going to work with Bryce Huff and see if he can be able to go ahead and become the player we project him to be. Who knows? That's what makes the NFL offseason so great. It can take one season, 1 year to completely change the trajectory of your franchise. Remember last offseason, we were saying how this is the most important offseason of Howie Roseman's career and what the Eagles are going to do going forward. All of a sudden, they came with an A-plus offseason and won the Super Bowl title. Can Howie do it again? Can this organization do it again? Can this offense and defense play the way they did again to get back to the big game? It all starts in the offseason, and it all starts with Zach Baun and Mekhi Becton. Hey, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.